Okay. Let me know if you can hear me. It's a good day to be here, and I'm super delighted to be here on this beautiful Friday. And I also want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that has been working with us. It's been an eventful day for me. Honestly, it has been very very eventful. I must admit, and I had to do several other things today. But I want to thank God for giving us opportunity to be here. So we're going to be talking about Lagos property scam. There was a circular that was released by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), where a real estate developer was declared wanted for money laundering and other financial crimes, related offenses. And this obviously has been, it has not been a good thing for Nigerian real estate, despite the fact that the industry has raked on money ranging from billions of naira in revenue. This is Nigeria, where situations like these sometimes are considered to be inevitable. And this is why we're having this conversation today. So I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. So I'm going to be talking about Lagos property scam, warning sign you must never ignore. Warning signs you must never ignore. And I'm also going to be sharing my own thoughts concerning the memo that was released by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and what is the consequence. Now, the consequence basically is that there've been um, a lot of things happening in this industry for some time, and we have made cautious efforts, okay, to call the attention of a lot of real estate investors to this. And trust me, I would say, for those who have been very very attentive and who have been, apologies, that's my son. So for those who have been attentive, who has been following, you will attest to the fact or testify to the fact that some of the issues that we have raised, okay, has been a very very concerning and of course deeper revelations. And when the memo for this particular thing happened today, will I say I'm surprised, or will I say I'm shocked? Well, I really don't know, don't have much to say, but all I can say basically is that when you are investing in real estate, it is very important that you understand. Yesterday in our live session that we had yesterday, I was emphasizing on the need for you to have an accurate understanding of how the industry is run. And I've said this several times, and I'll keep saying this. You need to understand that the our industry basically is a competitive one, and everybody is trying to do what they deem to be what they deem to be correct in order to stay relevant. So there's a growing competition among real estate developers to stay relevant, and of course to get all the necessary attention. And many of them have also been able to devise different ways, okay, of selling, or different ways of capturing, the attention of investors, more importantly those in Nigeria and those also in diaspora. So we're going to be talking about Lagos property scam. And for some of us that have been following up this um, YouTube page and Facebook account for some time, you will agree with me basically that our major area of emphasis, or a major area of conversation, has always been centered to the case of this memo that was released. Okay, this wanted memo was released by the Economic and Financial Crime. um, I was not surprised. I was not surprised because there have been several allegations allegedly that has been flying across the industry, And I would also recall basically that there have been times whereby Mr. Scott Iguma, which many of you regards as the real estate VDM, has also raised, his concern over this. He has raised allegation concerning the same developer. And what does this actually mean for the industry in Nigeria? What exactly is going to be the consequence of this? Number one is that this particular incident is going to affect the trust level that people have for this industry. And one of the things I've been trying as much as I can, okay, to explain to real estate investors is based on the fact that this is just one out of several. A lot of people are still going to be on that wanted list, and the reason why I'm saying this is that I would say that life is in turns, life takes turns, and presently is the case of this particular one. I can assure you that several other people will be mentioned, and we can't wait as the situation begins to unfold itself. Now, going forward, as a real estate investor, what should you do to avoid, or what are those things that shows that you're on the verge of being scammed? Now, let me quickly make this public disclaimer because I don't want a situation whereby I will be misinterpreted, misquoted, and misunderstood. And this is why I'm going to I'm going to start this opinion or this particular live session with this public disclaimer. Now, the disclaimer is very, very simple. I'm not saying that every real estate company that is doing some of these things, okay, that I'm about to mention, are doing it for the purpose of scamming people. No. And I'm not saying for those who are also doing it are doing with the intention of scamming people. No. However, it is equally important for us, to stress some important things that we have discovered so that we can strike a balance and, of course, create a meaningful conversation and, of course, strike out some important lessons that real estate investors need to understand. Now, a lot of real estate companies do what we call investment fund. A lot of them do a lot of cash back real estate scheme, and a lot of people also do what we call GoFundMe for real estate. And there's this co-own scheme of real estate that some other real estate companies have been doing. And basically, the reason for some of these things are based on the fact that, like I said in one of my videos, I said there've been a lot of evolution, a lot of innovation, and a lot of real estate development companies are thinking outside the box, and they are creating good innovative projects that can, okay, give us another dimension to the popular buy house sell or buy land and sell. So these are some of the things. Now, but I am very, very I'm aware, okay, that some real estate companies do what we call co-own. There's this co-own real estate, there's this real estate cashback, and there's this other forms of real estate investment, which time will not permit me to dive deeper. But the one I'm very, very conversant with is the real estate cashback and co-owned real estate investment that has been projected to real estate investors. Now, when it comes to doing a co-owned real estate or a real estate cashback, I have come to realize basically that there are companies. Yes, I also invest in real estate cashback. So let me start by saying this. Okay, I also invest in real estate cashback, and for the years that I've been doing this, okay, um, it has been successful, and I also have clients who also have investments in real estate cashback. And when it comes to real estate cashback, as far as I'm concerned, I can only do it with just two companies. Two companies. Now, I'm not saying that I understand. So, how what is the number one warning sign that you must pay attention to if you want to try another form of real estate investment? I've talked about co-home real estate, where some couple of people will come together and they buy real estate together. Or there are sometimes some companies, some real estate development companies will say, okay, we have some part of shares that we're selling. So you buy this and you can resell it. Is if you cannot own a whole unit of apartment, you can hold some portion of it, and when we put it out for rent or for lease, by the time we're able to share our return, you are going to get, some amount, as as a form of return on investment. And I've also seen people doing real estate cashback. So, like I said, as far as I'm real estate cashback, I only do it with just two companies, and I'm doing it for them. And of course, I've been helping real estate investors to invest, and they have not been. Now, why did I decide to stick with these two real estate companies? There are real estate companies that are offering real estate cashback. They are doing real estate cashback, and one of the warning signs that shows that a transaction may be indicating fraud is when promise unreasonable return on investment. Now, I've seen companies offering good to be true return on investment. Now, when a company is offering you some amount of money as your return on investment, there are some certain things you need to understand as far as investing with such companies is concerned. Number one is that you want to understand their revenue base, and you also want to understand their source of funding for that project. Now, for a real estate company that offering 50% return, I've seen someone offer 45%. And my major concern basically is that this 45% or this outrageous return that is being promised, what happens if something they are unable to recoup, or some of their investment model fails? Because I've seen instances whereby a lot of people, okay, have done real estate cashback and they've run into trouble. So the first thing is that when they promise unrealistic return, and the point is that some Nigerians can be very, very greedy. Now, you fall into the wrong hands if you are controlled by your greed, because you see, you need to do a total evaluation of the principle of demand and supply. Now, you're buying real estate from this person, and they're saying, you are going to buy for 11 million, and in less than 6 months, I'm going to give you 12 million. So I've seen instances whereby some people say, if you hold for 1 year, I'm going to give you this. Now, the point basically is that giving you the return is not the issue, but you need to have an adequate understanding of how they intend to do what? To make this return on investment possible. For a company that does not have a large revenue base, for a company that does not have a diversified real estate investment portfolio, for a company that is struggling to meet up with demands as well as projects, and that company is offering you an outrageous amount as your return on investment, whether you are doing cashback or you are doing co-own, then you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that it will get to a point whereby the investment may not go as you expect. And you also need to understand basically that if you choose to water your risk appetite, because I've seen instances where a lot of people have said, I can do this, my risk appetite is high. It's not about having your risk appetite being high, it's just a reality of what if this happens. Because you see, you need to thoroughly evaluate their source of revenue. A lot of people don't pay attention to this. Now, there have been accusations, unproven accusations, are like allegations that some real estate development companies are being used for money laundering. Like I said, it's an unproven allegations, but is there a possibility whereby they can use real estate developers to launder money? In Nigeria, anything is possible. However, it is unproven yet. So it is very important to know. So in a situation whereby the offer is too good to be true, in a situation whereby the offer is too good to be true, this is a clear indicator of what? Danger. Now, a lot of people find it extremely difficult, and I'm going to say this regardless of what you think or what you feel. We all are entitled to our opinion, but people who fall into this basically are people who seems to have what we call uneducated investment advisor. You need to understand that the principle of economics, the principle of demand, the principle of supply is very, very important. And these exact principles are what determines if an investment will be a failure or if an investment will be successful. Now, a lot of people does not understand basically that when you keep falling into scam and there are a lot of things and this thing is happening repeatedly, it's a case of you failing to embrace the reality. And what is the reality? Now, the reality basically is that as far as Nigeria is concerned, some people are way, way above the law. That is reality check number one. It does not matter what you think, what you feel. There are some people that if they collect your money today, and you come to social media to complain, I can assure you that if they are above the law, they are above the law. I won't say beyond that. Reality check number two. Someone was asking, okay, so how come they did not call this particular guy? How come he is not above the law? Let me also quickly tell you that this is not actually the first time or the second time that this particular person has been accused of collecting money from investors with the promise of doubling their investment. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. But if you look at the volume of amount that is involved in this scenario, makes it extremely difficult for the appropriate institutions to overlook this. So you need to understand this. Now, another warning sign that you can be scammed is if you are misinformed. And one other warning sign that shows that you can be easily scammed is when you are misinformed. Now, it does not make any actual sense for every real estate investor to choose a property advisor that does not prioritize due diligence. Now, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. In as much as fact that our industry is profitable, in as much as fact that our industry is demand driven, in as much as fact that our industry has the tendency to override every real estate industry, even in the sub-Saharan Africa, we also need to understand that those who have thrived in this our real estate industry, who have done it successfully, are people who have advantage informations at their disposal. Now, the reason why you are making wrong real estate investments repeatedly, or the reason why you are being scammed, is that you are taking advice from people who don't understand the basic principles of how the industry operates. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should work with us. Now, for the past 3 weeks, what I've been doing um for these 3 weeks are what I call the intervention in the sense that I've seen a lot of people get themselves in some real estate problems that ordinarily, if their realtor or their professional is well vast, knowledgeable in this industry, that problem would have been avoided. And you cannot just but work with somebody that does not understand the industry. I've said it before. There are several instances whereby from afar I can analyze a project, and from the market demand, market principles, some basic financial information, some basic engineering information that we have at our disposal, with some of our professionals that work with us, we can predict the outcome of a project. And because of this vast knowledge that we have, we can also use in a situation to advise you if you are making a terrible or a good real estate investment. So basically, you keep falling into scam because you are working with half-baked industry. And The reason why a lot of people are making fraudulent, or the reason why some people are falling into the hands of fraudulent real estate is that I have come to realize, I stand to be corrected. I have come to realize that majority of these um, advisors, these so-called realtors, sometimes are working, they are collaborators with some developers. I've come to realize that. So I stand to be corrected, but in cases of where we have to forcefully intervene and see how we can salvage the situations, we found out that these guys have been doing this repeatedly. So the knowledge, the vastness, because you see, there are some locations. I've been in several institutes, in several instances where a lot of people have reached out and said, okay, I want to buy Eco Atlantic. Do you know anything about Eco Atlantic? And I've come up plain. I said, okay, fine. I can admit that Eco Atlantic is the next real estate investment destination. But as far as investing in that area is concerned, there are some trained professionals who are vast in that location. And if you don't mind, I can introduce you to them, or probably we work together with them so that they can, put us in the right position on how to go about it. Now, I am being fair from the first instant. A lot of people, because of their greed, will not admit, okay, that they don't know much about the Atlantic region. Because of their greed, they will randomly look for people who may not have properties in the Atlantic, connect you with them, buy a fraudulent properties, and that becomes it. There was a case of a story of a client of an investor that lost millions of dollars to a property in Ikoyi. It's quite sad, very very sad, and news like these are not something that is worth celebrating, but it is also good that we share some of these experiences so that real estate investor can have an understanding of the possibility of being scammed. And surprisingly, they checked all the documents, but one thing they failed to check was to do a confirmation at the Ministry of Lands, because the CFO looks genuine, everything looks fine. They checked everything, they came for inspection, only for them to find out that the bearer of that CFO forged the CFO document. So that's a case for another day. So are there six instances of people selling properties with forged documents? That is a conversation for another day. That possibility exists, and it can happen. So after committing millions of dollars to that Ikoyi property, this particular investor did not realize that the CFO that was used in selling was forged. And these are some of the, and the situation basically is due to the fact that, because you see, when we talk about due diligence, a lot of people, or a lot of real estate investors, have failed to realize that due diligence constitutes of different sector. There are some due diligence that you want to do, that you need the service of a property valuer. There are some due diligence you want to do that you will need the service of a town planner. There are some due diligence you will do that you will need the service of see, when it comes to surveyors, there are different kind of surveyors. They are registered surveyors and they are unregistered surveyor. That obviously is not a conversation for today. So there are some due diligence that you would need the service of a registered surveyor. There are some due diligence that you will need the service of a property lawyer. Now, a lot of people today proud themselves as lawyer, but you see, having the experience of a property lawyer is very very important. So due diligence is a multidisciplinary approach, okay, towards ensuring the safety of your investment. And basically, a lot of investors don't seem to understand that these things are very very critical. These things are very very important, and that is why they are. So if you are working with an inexperienced or a half-baked real estate professional, you will keep losing money to fraudulent real estate developers. Number three, another warning sign that shows that you can be duped is to ignore the track record of a real estate developer. Now, I said this in one of my videos, and I'm going to say it again. Um, there was a particular time in my career, okay, that some couple of people came to my office then. They came to my office and we had a conversation. And this guy said, "We like what you're doing. We want to pay for your page, okay? And we're going to pay you this so amount, give you this so thing, just for us to use your page for 1 year." And trust me, that amount or that offer was something that a lot of real estate in realtors will jump at. Comes with a car, comes with some properties in my name, comes with an endorsement deal. Trust me, I could have said, I deserve it. I've worked so hard. So when they made me the offer, and I had to speak with my lawyer and some teams of industry professional, everything looked good on the paper. The offer, I was supposed to sign the endorsement deal because I'm very popular in the industry. There is hardly people that will tell you they don't know me. So you get. So while we're reading some of the transaction, going through the agreement and the likes, my lawyer cited something that there was a case that happened with this particular real estate company in the Lekki Phase 1 axis. And he insisted that I investigate further. So, and in my point, I was like, what kind of thing is this? I'm at the edge of my breakthrough, blah, blah, blah. Of course, trust me, it was tempting. So when I started investigating, I did that reluctantly because I just felt basically. So as I began to investigate further, and I found out that somehow, these guys were affected. However, they were using a different company name as at that time. So when I called the attention of the real estate development company and I told them, this. Yes, he admitted they were the one, but this was at their own primitive stage and the likes, and they've learned from the situation, they've grown from the situation, and they're giving this assurance that such thing will not happen again. And my lawyer said something, said, what if it goes beyond that? Now, the moment we began to investigate further, we found out that what a lot of people were affected, and this particular company did not give the adequate compensation as at when due. And that was why we had to pull out of that, because I never wanted something that my name would be associated with unfortunate circumstances like that. And when these people knew I was not forthcoming, they had to get someone else. And as I'm talking to you today, that real estate development company are part of uh, they are part of those whose cost has been calling out. I won't go further beyond that, but I can tell you basically that in this our industry, all that glitters are not gold. So one of the easiest way to avoid being scammed, or one of the easiest way that you can easily fall to scam, is to buy without going through their track record. Now, when I talk about this issue of track record, it has become almost impossible for people to even know, because I've seen instances of people having, how do I describe this now? People falling into different harms, scam, and the affected companies are rebranding. Yes, they are rebranding. So they don't come with the name or with the brand many people are familiar with. They rebrand a different name, a different logo, a different office. However, they are the same. So when you are searching their track record, their deed of their past wrongdoings are totally erased and unavailable But however, if you dig deeper and you do what you are supposed to do, you will find out. You will. So one of the major problem I'm having today is that if you invest with someone that you don't know his track record, you can be easily scammed. I can tell you the facts. Can be easily scammed. Because you see, when companies sell, they don't sell their wrongdoings, they don't sell their shortcomings, they don't sell their challenges. Most of these people they are totally aware that once it gets to the public knowings of some of their past wrongdoings, people can easily identify them and avoid them. So what has not happened in time past basically is that people who fall into scam fall into it unknowingly. Why? Because they have packaged themselves in another dimension. So anything that has to do with their past or their challenges or some other things have been totally erased. So avoid buying or investing with a company that you don't know their trajectory, their past record, whether they are new or whether they've rebranded or some other things. And another thing that you should also pay attention to is that you should involve an independent party. Sometimes don't involve your realtor because sometimes his interest can override his sense of reasoning. There are times that I've interacted with some clients and they said, I want to involve my lawyer. I'll just tell you, okay, fine. I've confirmed this C of O. I've confirmed this deed because I've seen instances whereby lawyers too are not are trying to play smart on us. They will tell you the document does not have this. And I said, no. Before I even made these investment recommendations, I've done what I'm supposed to do from my own part. So you cannot be telling me this. You can't be telling me. So I've seen instances whereby some lawyers are not honest because they're trying to hijack that process of transaction and introduce their own property. But apart from that, you need an independent third party to help you investigate and find out what is going on. And that is why many people are buying properties from their past tormentors because they have rebranded. So it becomes extremely difficult for you to